Hello and welcome back, everyone, to my book summary series. Continuing with the trend of telling you about fiction books and how they teach us some very priceless lessons, today's book is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Now, it's a very interesting book in the sense when I read this book, I was a teenager coming of age in grade 9 and 10. And to understand a classic like that at an age that I was, my teachers felt it was a difficult book. And they gave me this book because we were to go for a book discussion in a different school as a part of a competitive series. And just to encourage participation, me and a peer of mine, we were asked to read this book. And our teacher said, look, we do not have any expectations of you because this is not a very normal book that you read these days. It's a classic novel that was almost published first time, I think, in the 1840s. And it is a very widely acclaimed piece of literature. So again, if you go and look for lists of book to read in a lifetime, you'll find this book there by Emily Bronte. What is this book about? This book is about love, it's about revenge, it's about redemption. So the story is set in the moors of England, and it follows the lives of, actually intertwined lives, they are so connected and parallelly moving, two families, the Earnshaws and the Lintons. So the story begins with the arrival of a young orphan named Heathcliff, who is taken in by a man called Mr. Earnshaw and brought up alongside his children, Catherine and Hindley. Catherine and Heathcliff kind of develop a very deep bond, but their relationship is complicated and sort of not approved by, because of their different social statuses. So Catherine eventually gets married to someone called Edgar Linton. Now, this novel spans over several generations, and they follows a complex relationship when it comes to the characters as they face loss, betrayal in their lives. And it is best known, if you read about different summaries of this book, for its dark and passionate theme. So it has a very complex narrative, and that's the reason our teacher said we do not have any expectations of you understanding this book. But you've been given an opportunity, so just read it and we'll go and participate. And what happened in the competition, I'll let you know if you watch till the end of the video. So, Wuthering Heights is a very influential novel in literature and culture, and it's been inspired. It has inspired a lot of people in the filmmaking and sitcom making industry in various countries. So, a lot of English dramas that you see, the writers of those dramas are influenced or inspired by the writing of this book. It very beautifully displays the old time England setting and sets the context. And when we are talking of the 1840s and 1850s, so try and imagine whatever you have seen or read until now, the kind of hierarchy that was there, the social status that was present at that point of time in England. So, considering that, the kind of relationships that happen and how they move over time, it's very, very well written. However, it's not an easy book in if you talk about vocab and writing style. There are places where for a normal reader it gets a bit tricky and uninteresting. But if you give it an open mind and still continue and get to the end of it, it's something to cherish for sure. A classic is a classic for a reason. So now, what can I tell you? What is the priceless teaching of Wuthering Heights? So, the most important takeaway would be the destructive power of revenge. So, revenge is a feeling that we can feel in our personal life toward, that wanting to prove to someone, or actually taking revenge in one form or the other. There are times in people's life when they are living through some emotions which make them feel revengeful for people against some actions. And that's something this novel's characters bring about very beautifully highlights well, because the characters are wanting revenge against each other, and that leads to some very tragic consequences. So the main character Heathcliff's his desire for revenge against those who wronged him ultimately destroys him and the people he most cared about who were around him. So it suggests that, like we say, if you are taking revenge, you're hurting yourself the most. Something like that happens, and how that negative impact on you and your closest circle is happening, and why it's so important to be forgiving and compassionate. Then the next takeaway would be how obsession can be dangerous. So Heathcliff has this obsessive love for Catherine that kind of makes him commit acts that are terrible in nature. And because of Catherine's obsession with social status and wealth, she herself comes and lives a lifestyle that is of one of misery instead of being happy and fulfilled. Her obsession with having that status and wealth leads her to a mindset of misery. So this book also suggests how you can be consumed by your desires, and those can have very serious negative consequences. So it's very important to build a balanced life. Then self awareness is another thing that's slightly subtextually highlighted here, where the characters are struggling with their identity and emotions. And the author has beautifully portrayed that. And since it's written so long time back, it's important to appreciate this, that they subtextually try to bring about this issue of self awareness, and how it's important that you understand the reason behind your motivations and desires when living your life, or understanding or taking actions that are impacting your life. Then the final one would be how love is so very much powerful. Love in terms of having healthy love, and which can heal and bring people together, and love which is unhealthy and obsessive and can actually destroy your life and other lives. So this novel brings to light both these kind of loves, the healthy form and the unhealthy form, and how the healthy form is the one that actually lets you put others uh, before yourself, or in a way that you are not harming yourself, rather you are thinking of your own self in a self awareness manner. So those are a few takeaways that can be taken from this very complex and nuanced novel written on human relationships, emotions, and these are the insights you can definitely share with. Now, it's not easy for everyone to read a book like this. However, if you know someone who is interested into reading books, you should definitely recommend them this book. Like I said, I was very young when I read this book, and to the surprise of our teachers, me and my peer, even though we read a classic for the first time, because we had such a fresh perspective to this book, we actually ended up bringing a prize for our school, which was a very proud moment. So it does not matter what age you are reading a classic, because your interpretation and understanding would be different and fresh. So even now, if my summary has inspired you to go and read this book, please do, because even though it's a classic, you will get something out of it, something more out of it than this summary if you are reading this book, because you are reading for yourself. So until I make next summary and see you guys, thank you for listening, thank you for supporting, much appreciated. Take care and goodbye.